Hello dear fellow homesteaders. Today's video is very important for those of you who weed. And we have very good tips about weeding, and we're going to share the tip about the best weeding hoe from my wife. She's a very experienced weeder. She's been maintaining a lot of coverage for plots, because weeds, as you know, probably in most areas, in all areas, grow like crazy, and unfortunately there's no good way of dealing with them. Some people recommend mulching. It's not as easy as it seems. So we have some tips, and here they are. So what is the number one tip for, I guess they're both kind of connected. The type of the hoe is connected to tip number 2 about how to weed, right?
Yeah, I found this to be the best weeding tool, and they call it a stirrup hoe, or sometimes a hula hoe or oscillating hoe, and it's supposed to cut the roots at the surface. When I first read about it, I thought, well, when you weed, you should weed really deep so that you get the roots out. And
because the roots, they keep regrowing from the roots, right?
From my experience, when I used to use that stick for the dandelion to pull them all the way with the whole root.
You were digging like 1 foot deep, right?
Yeah, I mean, it will grow back just as fast anyway. So I figured with this, I can clean it up on the surface level and leave it sometimes as mulch, or let it dry, and then I put this stuff on the compost pile. But it's easy. It actually is able to uproot most weeds, you know, from the whole root, and it's tough. It can handle rocks, and at the end of the task of weeding, it's actually it's a good feeling that, you know, it's clean and you accomplish something, as opposed to being frustrated and giving up. Like, this is our watermelon plot this year, and I did most of the weeding with this, and I'm able to keep it at bay. In the past, I would, you know, halfway through the season, I would just give up and just let all the grass grow, because it's just too much. I can't keep up. And with this, I'll do it maybe twice a week, and it's able to, you know, be suppressed. And it's nice looking at a garden that, you know, you see your stuff growing and the weeds are sort of suppressed, and you're not frustrated. So I really recommend this, and maybe once or twice a week, and you should be able to keep your weeds at bay. This one was not weeded because we were focusing on our cucumber and watermelon there as well. I'm preparing this plot here for radishes, right? And one of the things too that we're planning to get is called a golden gark, which is a nice rake shovel that you can use to scoop up your weeds and sift out the soil, so you're not bringing clumps of soil to your compost pile. So yes.
And this was not expensive,
no,
right?
there was a sale here in Fredericton
Home Hardware
for $18, and I thought, why not? So we got it. I had low expectation because, you know, it didn't look big, and I thought, well, you're just gonna skim the surface.
Kind of looks flimsy, right?
Yeah, but it's supposed to pivot like this so that you can push as well, you know, right? You mostly like get rid of the weed by pulling it this way. And see, there's a rock here. Yeah. See that? And
I know.
it's
rocks
okay.
all over the place.
And I find, for me, I don't know how other people, but for me, I find this motion where you scoop and lift it seems to work. Like scoop and lift, scoop, like you're doing a elliptical shape this way. You know, you scoop and lift, you scoop and lift, and it seems to be.
So this hoe actually
satisfying.
makes you move different way than with other hoes.
Yeah, and it's actually quite precise enough that when you have a tight garden, you know, you don't have much space, you can actually just crouch down and go this way and be able to clean it up, as opposed to bending over and using your hand weeding tool.
Yeah, I'm surprised how well it's holding up for, what was it, $18?
$18, yeah. And the brand is Benchmark. They call it action garden hoe, but when you search online, it's also called a stirrup hoe or oscillating hoe or hula hoe.
It's not the Dutch hoe.
No, the Dutch hoe apparently works only on push motion. This is called a stirrup hoe because it's like the stirrups
Yeah,
of horses.
for the horses. Yeah.
Yeah. So I highly recommend. I think every homesteader, gardener, farmer should have this. It actually makes weeding fun. I actually enjoy weeding now.
And the
So-
tip number 2 was that we don't need to dig too deep. We get same results just skimming the surface
Yeah.
and cutting them off
Yeah.
at the surface level, right?
Yeah, and if you want to continue like cutting the roots, just do 2 passes or 3 passes as opposed to one big, plow with a heavy plow and just to get rid of those clumps. And sometimes you don't get rid of everything. This way you sort of, you cut and at the same time you cut the roots at the bottom and you sort of mix it up. So if you want to continue, just keep going on the same spot and you keep cutting the roots.
And we have many hoes, right? So you
Yeah.
have an experience. You have experienced the
All kinds
like
of
a
weeding tools.
triangular hoe, flat hoe, different, and the
Yeah.
hand hoes.
Hand hoe. Hand hoes are still useful if you really, really need to get a tight space and you need to bend over and go, But if you can reach it with this is good. And when you're not exactly 20-year-old, it's great on the back and you still get your exercise. And it's really very satisfying. Makes weeding satisfying.
So we're buying one more if it's still
Yeah,
on
if
sale,
there's
right?
a sale, get 2.
All right.
Yeah. So, see? It's easy compared to the other hose.
Make it do a close up.
Yeah.
Wow.
And there's rocks here because our land, some parts of our land are very rocky and it's really tough on some of the hoes, but this one is holding up. And it's really nice to see your weeds chopped up.
Destroyed.
Yeah, and you can leave it to dry and become mulch, or you can scoop it up with a golden gark rake, which we have yet to try, and put it in a compost pile. See here, that's the root of a dandelion, but it will grow back just as fast as one that you completely pull out. So you'll kill yourself trying too hard. Have some fun weeding. After all, gardening is supposed to be joyful too, right? There you go.